Hi guys, I'm going to make a chapter 4 review. Wait, I'm getting some feedback with the volume. There we go. Okay, so I'm doing the chapter 4 review problems. All right, I don't want you to use a calculator for this when you're doing it from 1 to 1 to 21. So find the measure of the of the angle indicated by the swirl. So we know when we go, first of all, it's going this way, so it's positive. Once around, 360. Twice around is 720. And then this part is 60, so this must be 30. So this is a 750-degree angle. Okay, remember positive angles open up, negative angles open back. All right. Find the exact value of the oh my God, I can't speak today. 6 trigonometric functions. Rationalize the denominator. Okay, so here's your angle. Your hypotenuse, your left side, we need to find this. We know that this squared plus this squared is this, or 196 is 14 squared, right? That is 144. So this is the square root of 32, which, let's see, can we break down? Wait a minute, did I do that right? 6, no, this is 552. I don't know what I'm thinking. 52 now. 52 does, 4 goes into that 13 times. So this is really the square root of 4, the square root of 13. So this is 2 radical 13. Okay, and now we'll just do the sign is opposite over hypotenuse, which of course we reduce to 6 over 7. So then if the sign is that, we can say cosecant is 7 over 6. All right, cosine is 2 radical 13 adjacent over hypotenuse, which you can reduce to that over 7. And then the secant of that would be 7 over radical 13, which of course we're not savages, we don't leave that in the denominator. So it's 7 radical 13 over 13. The tangent is opposite over adjacent, so it would be 12 over 2 radical 13. I'll reduce it to 6 over radical 13 and then rationalize it to 6 radical 13 over 13. But then the cotangent is going to be, I'm running out of space, cotangent is just going to be radical 13 over 6. Okay. Find one positive and one negative angle coterminal with, I'm going to go to the paper for this, negative 21 pi over 8. Okay, so first, remember we're opening this way. So, because it's negative, this would be 8 over 8 because the denominator is 8. This would be 16 over 8. This would be 4 over 8 going this way. And this is 12 over 8 because we go 4, 8, 12, 16. So negative 21 means I went around 16 whole time, the whole 16, and then another 5. So I ended up here. Okay, so going negative, I could really just do it this way. Just go that much, which would be the 5. So one of them would be negative 5 pi over 8. And then if I'm going 5 this way, and the whole thing is 16, that means I would have to go 11 that way. So 11 pi. Why do I always have to write 11 pi? Do you ever see that? I hate writing 11 pi. Okay. So those are two possibilities. Remember, you can keep going round and round. I told you guys to skip number 4. So number 5 says, in what quadrant is the terminal side of 7 pi over 8? Well, very nicely, I still have this up here. So 7 would terminate here in quadrant 2. Okay, let negative radical 11, negative 3 be a point on the terminal side in standard position. Standard position, I started here. Negative, negative means I have a negative x, negative y. So I kind of terminated in quadrant 3. All right, so this point here is negative radical 11. Not radical 3, and then negative 3, which means that when I create my right triangle, okay, I'm going out. This is my x. This is radical 11. And then I go down 3. So first I have to find this before I give you, what am I looking for? The sign. Okay, because sign of this would be opposite over hypotenuse. I don't know what that is, so it's radical 11 squared is 11, plus 3 squared is 9, so this is radical 20, which is 2 radical 5. So the sign, right, it says asking for the sign. Where am I? Yes, find the sign is opposite over hypotenuse. So 3 over 2 radical 5, negative, because I'm in quadrant 3. Rationalize. Negative 3 radical 5 over radical 5 times radical 5 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. So the answer is negative 3 radical 5 over 10. Okay. Number 7 is find the exact value of the cotangent if this cosecant is negative 5 and the cosine is greater than 0. Okay, so first of all, where do I live? If my cosecant of theta is negative 5, that means my sine, my pen is dying, sorry. My sine is negative 1 over 5. So sine is negative, and it says cosine is positive. Another stupid trig class, so I must be in quadrant 4. Okay. And my sine is opposite over hypotenuse, which means that this is 25 minus 1, which is square root of 24, which is 2 radical 6. Okay, and it's asking me to find cotangent. So my tangent is 1 over 2 radical 6, so I have to flip that to get 2 radical 6 over 1. I'm sorry, I'm choking. And it's in quadrant 4, so it is negative. And I think there's actually a mistake on the answer key, because that's not what the answer key says, but I have to check with that because that's not what I got when I did it. I got negative 2 radical 6. Okay, let's look at number 8. Number 8 is asking me for the cosecant of 3 pi over 4. I can't find the cosecant, but I could find the sine. My reference angle is pi over 4. The sine of pi over 4, hold on one second, I'm being blocked in my thing. Okay. The sine of pi over 4 is radical 2 over 2. So the cosecant would be 2 over radical 2. Rationalize that. I get 2 radical 2 over 2, which is radical 2. Now, where do I live? Is it positive or negative? 3 pi over 4. This is 4 over 4. So this is 2 over 4. It would be here, and sine is positive, so cosecant is positive. So the answer is radical 2. Remember, you have to find the value, and then you have to find the SIGN, if it's positive or negative. Number 9 is asking me for the tangent of 11 pi over 6. So again, I'd find the tangent of pi over 6. That's my reference angle. That's my 30-degree angle, so it's radical 3 over 3. 11 over 6 is, let's see if this is 6 over 6. This is 12 over 6. It's in quadrant 3, so my answer is negative. Number 10 is the secant of negative 270. This is one of your quadrantal angles. All right, first of all, we don't find secant, we find the cosine and then we flip it. Negative 270 means I opened backwards and ended here. Quadrantals are easy. You got to know the point. This is 0.01. Okay, please know how to put points on a graph. This is cosine, this is sine. So the cosine is 0. So now it's asking me for the cosine is 0, but if I flip that, I get 0 in the denominator. This is undefined. Does not exist. And the last one that they asked me to find is the cosine of 4 pi over 3. My reference angle is pi over 3, so that's going to be a 60-degree angle, which is 1/2. And where's 4 over 3? Well, we know 3 over 3 is here. This would be 1.5, so this is 4.5, so 4 is here. Cosine in quadrant 3 is negative. Okay, number 12, I could answer right over here. It says, in what quadrants is the tangent of theta less than 0? That's just another stupid trig class. It's positive here, it's positive here, so in quadrant 2 and in quadrant 4 is tangent negative. Okay, let me get another piece of paper. All right, number 13 is state the amplitude and period of y equals 3 cosine 2x. So remember, this is your A, this is your B. Okay, your A is your amplitude, so the amplitude is 3, and your period is always for cosine and sine 2 pi over b, so 2 pi over 2 is pi. Oh, it wants us to graph it. I didn't know we were supposed to be graphing this. Okay. Okay, so this one didn't shift. It starts at 0. Okay, so now the amplitude is 3. Let's make, so that's our height. Negative. So we're going to start here at 0. So we have one complete graph by the time we hit pi. So that means the middle would be pi over 2. And then this would be pi over 4. This would be 3 pi over 4. Cosine starts at the amplitude, down to the midline, negative, back here, up. That would be one complete cosine graph. And if I want to continue it, okay, I could go backwards or I could go forward. So this would be, notice I'm counting by 1/4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. This is 5/4. This would be 6/4. This would be 7/4. This would be 8/4 or 2 pi. And you would just continue in that manner. Okay, because there was no horizontal shift in that. Okay, what is the maximum value of the function y equals -5 cosine 2x minus pi plus 8? See, this plus 8 meant it shifted the graph up 8 units. Okay, so that means the midline of the graph is at 8. And your amplitude is 5, so you went up another 5 units. So your highest point, they're asking you what is the max value? It's just 13. That's what your max value would be. Write an equation of a cotangent function. I'm not going to be asking you that, so we're going to skip that. Okay, let's go to 16. Cosine x equals 1. They're asking you what is the value of x. What is the angle that has a cosine of 1? Okay, so what we're going to do is, since it's a answer of 1, we know it's going to be one of our quadrantals. This moves over 1, up 0. This goes over 0, up 1. This moves -1, up 0. And this is 0, -1. Cosine is your x, so it would be here. So the answer is 0. Okay, did they give us what value they want? Oh, if you would put 2 pi, that would have worked also. Okay, cosecant number 17, they want now cosecant of x. I wrote cosine, I'm sorry. Cosecant of x is -1, which means they want to know the sine of x is -1, and then we could flip it, which would give us the same thing, and sine -1 here, so that is going to be 3 pi over 2. Okay. Wait, let me just this page off. Number 18, state the amplitude, period, 1/4 frequency, and all right, so they want me to name everything. Y equals -10 cosine of x over 2 plus pi over 2 minus 5. So the amplitude is 10. Okay, your period is, your b is 1/2. So 2 pi over 1/2 is really 4 pi. Okay, so we have the amplitude is 10. 4 pi is the period. Okay, 1/4 of the period is pi. Okay, the frequency is when I set this equal to 0. Okay, but we're not going to worry about the frequency. It definitely had a shift. It had a vertical shift. It went down 5 for that negative, and it had a horizontal or phase shift of, let's see, x over 2 plus pi over 2 equals 0. X over 2 equals -pi over 2. Okay, so that cancels. So the phase shift, which is always what's happening in here, is going to be -pi. I feel like I lost my place. Okay, that was number 18. I told you guys to skip 20 and 21. And now I need, skip 19 and 20 rather. And let's go to 21. Okay, 21, they want us to state the domain and the range. Okay, guys, the domain for these, they're ongoing. Okay, I compared it to a heartbeat. We want that heartbeat to go on. So the domain is going to be from -infinity to +infinity. That's your domain. Your range is your lowest to the highest. So the range is going to be from -1 to 5. Okay, and it says to state the period. Okay, so that's when we see one complete graph. If I start here and I have no phase shift, I start at 0, this seems to be a cosine graph with a midline of 2. Is it 2? Maybe it's higher. -1, 5, that's difference of 6. Maybe it's like in between, but it doesn't matter. Here's my cosine graph, and it ends here, which is at 8 pi. So the period is 8 pi. Okay, so now they want us to use the calculator. All right, let me grab my calculator here. Okay, so first, how to write in from radians to degrees. Okay, that's just a simple formula, guys. We don't want to have the pi in there. So that means we're going to have to cancel out the pi. That means the pi goes in the denominator, so they could cancel out. This is over 180. Okay, pi's and pi's cancel out. I do believe 12 goes into 180. Let's see. Goes in 1, so it's 6. Yeah, 15 times. 12 goes into that 15. So now we just have 15 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So it's a 75-degree angle. Write 100 in multiples of, write 100 degrees in radians. Okay, so 100 times, we wanted to have radians, so now the radians goes in the numerator, 180 in the denominator. I could cancel a 0 for a 0. These are both divisible by 2, so I get 5 pi over 9. So that's it in radian measure. Question 24. The sine of 29 degrees equals 7 over x. Remember what we said when we're solving this. I mean, you can multiply both sides by x and flip it, but when the x is in the denominator, these just get flipped. So it's really x equal 7 divided by the sine of 29. Guys, please make sure that you are in degree mode, which I was not. That would have given me the wrong answer. And now I'm just doing, clear that, 7 divided by the sine of 29, close my parentheses, and my answer, what did they ask me for? 3 decimal places. So it's going to be 14.439. Okay. When they're asking, like in question 25, for the angle, that is an inverse function. That's all those little negative ones on top. Okay, so I'm going to hit in my calculator second sine, and it's going to bring up a -1, and just do, oh, that's a 5, not a 4, sorry, 3 divided by 5. So your angle here, and again, is 3 decimal places, yes, is around 36.870 degrees. Okay, I told you guys to skip 26 and 27. Let's talk about the word problem on 28. I gotta read this. At a local airport, a light that produces a powerful white-green beam is placed on top of a 45-foot tower. So I have a tower that's 45 feet. If the tower is at the end of the runway, find the angle of depression needed so that the light extends to the end of the 220-foot runway. Now remember, the angle of depression is this out here, but the angle of depression translates to the angle of elevation based on alternate interior. So technically, I could say I'm looking for this angle. So that would be the tangent of that angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. Again, I'm looking for the angle, so it's a second degree function. So I would hit second tangent of 45 divided by 2200. Oh, I wrote 5 instead of 45. And I get an angle of elevation of about, of depression rather, 1.172 degrees. Mrs. Fiorentina, whose eyes are 5 feet off the ground, so here she is, and her height is 5 feet. These are her eyes. Is standing 60 feet away from the base of a building. Here's the building. Okay, so she's standing 60 feet away from the base of the building. She looks up, so her eyes are looking up. So that's where the angle is created, from her eyes. She's still 60 feet, but she looks up at a 73-degree angle. How tall is the building? Now remember, from here to here is what I'm going to be able to find using this, and this is going to be 60, but then I have to add her height of 5 feet. That's why they included that. So it's opposite and adjacent. So it's the tangent of 73 is equal to x over 60. So I will do tangent of 73, because I just have to multiply these. Close my parentheses, times 60. So right now from here to here is 196.251, but she's still standing 5 feet above the ground, so the ground's here. So I have to take that 196.251 and add 5 feet. So I get 251 feet. Okay, she's not laying on the floor looking up at the building. All right, number 30. For the values of x for which it is true. Okay, so number 30, again, this is similar to what we did here. I can bring this right back. Okay, I want to know didn't we do that? Cosine of x is 1. It's the same question as before, guys. I'm not even going to do it. It's the same question as, I think, 18 or 19, whatever. When is tangent undefined? Tangent is undefined here and here because remember, tangent, okay, tangent is sine over cosine. So when my cosine is 0 and I put 1 over 0, I get an undefined. So tangent would be undefined at pi over 2, 90 degrees, and 3 pi over 2. When is the cosecant? It's the same question. Am I going crazy? I feel like I did this. Yes, I did this already. I'm sorry. I don't know why they repeated. Okay. Number 33 is sine -1 of 1/2. So again, I'm asking you, what is the angle that has a sine of 1/2? Okay, and it's a positive 1. So who has the sine of 1/2? That's my favorite one. That is 30 degree or pi over 6. Now, sine is positive here at pi over 6 and here. So if this is pi over 6 here, I know this is 6 over 6 getting here. So it's also 5 pi over 6. Okay, let's look at 34. 34 is asking for the arc sine. That's the same type of question as this. Same thing. For the sine of 5 pi over 4. Okay, first we answer this. We find the sine of 5 pi over 4. The sine of pi over 4 is radical 2 over 2. 5 over 4 means that I'm in quadrant here, quadrant 3, where sine is negative. So here, I have to make that negative. Now, they're asking me, what angle has a sine of negative radical 2 over 2? We know the reference angle. We know that pi over 4 is the answer, but pi over 4 is here in quadrant 1. In quadrant 1, sine is positive, and in quadrant 2, at 3 pi over 4, it's positive. So what angle? Well, it's this angle. It kind of just went backwards. We went forward and backwards. All right? At 5 pi over 4, you are going to have a negative answer. Which question am I working on? I kind of lost my place. 34. All right? But, all right, wait a minute. Let's think for a second. We're doing sine. Remember, I'm sorry, I forgot for a second. Sine is only valid positive here, negative here, because there'd be 2 answers. Okay, so here, and I just realized I did that wrong with this one, so we have to go back. I'm so sorry. Sine, I forgot, can't be here. We only want 1 answer. Sine is only positive answers here, negative answers here. So go back to 33, guys. Positive here, negative here. I went into chapter 5 for a second when I was doing answers. I forgot we were doing arc sine for a second. So go back to 33. The positive answer is here. We're not going to take 2 answers. The negative answer would be here, which would be negative pi over 6. Okay, sorry about that. Remember, sine was positive here, negative here. Tangent was positive here, negative here, but it didn't include my quadrantals. And cosine was positive here, negative here for cosine. Okay, if you remember doing arc sines. Sorry, I actually jumped ahead a chapter. Okay, and I think this is the last one, actually. Can I fit it on any of this paper? They want the arc sine, the tangent of the arc sine of 5/13. Okay, so it doesn't really matter here. Remember this, we just built the triangle. Okay, if my angle, I don't know what my angle is, but my sine is 5/13. Okay, that meant that this was 12, and now they just want to know the tangent of that angle. The tangent is 5/12. All right, because it didn't really matter what the angle was. It's now just asking you for the tangent of that particular angle. Okay, I think that's it for chapter 4. Let me just make sure. Yes, now we're going to 5. I'm going to end this video, and I'm going to make another video for chapter 5.